Are we in the middle of a learning recession? A new report warns the U.S. is experiencing just that, and it's a slide that actually started before the pandemic's disruptions to schools. This all comes from the Education Scorecard, which includes analysis from scholars at Harvard, Stanford, and Dartmouth. And joining us now is Professor Thomas Kane, an economist and faculty director at Harvard University's Center for Education Policy Research. Thank you so much for your time today, Professor. So we know you helped create the Education Scorecard. Can you break down what the results actually show?
So everybody knows about the losses that occurred during the pandemic. But what our research suggests is that the pandemic was just the mudslide that followed about 7 years of steady erosion in student achievement. So since 2015, 83% of school districts around the country have lost ground in reading. 70% have lost ground in math. So for the parents out there that think everything is fine in their school district, they ought to go to the Education Scorecard and just check and see how their district is doing and how they've declined over time.
Yeah, those numbers are shocking. What are some of the factors that could be contributing to them?
So there are at least two things that happened about the same time. First, states and the federal government sort of dismantled the test-based accountability systems that had been built under No Child Left Behind. And the second is that social media started taking over kids' lives, and it both happened around the same time. So it was almost as if we turned off the smoke alarm that was the test-based accountability just at the same time that social media was sort of setting fire to kids' learning after school.
Goodness, this is just for me. I'm very curious about this. What can parents actually do to help out? I know obviously we place so much responsibility on schools and teachers and the schooling system, but families, parents, is there any role they play in all this?
They do, and actually probably one of the simplest things is to focus on student attendance, making sure your children are in school. What's happened, unfortunately, is student absenteeism rates spiked during the pandemic, and they've come down, but they've flattened out at a level much higher than they were before the pandemic. And so this is one of the things that is just the lowest hanging fruit, that if we could just get kids in the seats, we're already paying for teacher salaries and paying for the buses and the schools, get kids back in seats. That's and for parents to just keep track. It's easy to lose track of how many days a child has missed, but try to keep track and keep that to a minimum.
Yeah, and Professor, apparently some states are actually bucking the national trend. What are those spots?
So Tennessee, Louisiana, Maryland, and DC, even though DC is not a state, DC saw the largest improvement of any of the states since 2022.
Wow, I wasn't expecting you'd mention some of those states there. I mean, it seems like you have more to tell us.
Actually, they're not on the list of usual suspects. So like my state of here, Massachusetts, is conspicuously not on that list.
A big surprise there, but hopefully now that we have this information, some change can be made with it. Professor Thomas Kane, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate your insight.
Great, thanks for having me.
Of course.